getting back to, what's happening on the ice with the Bruins, Jim Montgomery mixing up the lines, keeping the fourth line intact, and you understand why. But just to refresh people's memory, Elias Lindholm centering a line with Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. And then you had Charlie Coyle centering a line with Max Jones, who only played his third game of the year, by the way, in Nashville, and Trent Frederick playing on his offside. And then Matt Potter centering a line with Pavel Zacha on his left. And then you had Morgan Geekie on the right side. What did you think of the lines? Well, hold on. I'll ask a two-part question. What did you think of the lines before the game and then after what you saw in Nashville? Obviously getting shut out, but did you see anything that might indicate that might be a good combination moving forward?
I saw some signs of certain things that I liked by mixing the forward line combinations. I still want Zach in my top six. I understand what Jim Montgomery was doing. He's trying to figure out where a guy like Potter best fits, if he's going to be in the lineup, if he's going to be an impactful player at this point in his young career. Is he a good enough skater to play in the NHL and be in the top 9 and play on a second power play? Not sure if he is just yet. Maybe he benefits from playing tons of hockey down in Providence now that they have that option. So maybe that's in his future. I can't say. I'd like to see him play better. And I'm working backwards here, Adam. But I want Zach in my top 6. I think he's that good. I wish he had more of a finishing touch because he gets a lot of looks. But I need more from guys that had good years last year, like a Trent Frederick, like a Morgan Geekie, the guys that you mentioned. I think they're really good third-line mismatches for a lot of teams. I think Charlie Coyle, I don't worry about him. I think he's too veteran a guy, and he hasn't played his best hockey yet, but he has to do a lot of good things for this Bruins team in 3 zones as a top 2 center. I think Brad Marchand, despite he had 4 points in his first 6 games, it didn't look like the Brad Marchand we're used to. He gets that shorthanded 2-on-1 last night. That stands out in my mind. I mean, to me, that used to be money for that guy, and it just hasn't been there early in the year for him. Probably has something to do with what happened to him this offseason with all the surgeries that he had and his age, etc. So he's still trying to find his A game. The 2 breakaways by Pastrnak, some good looks that they had on the power play that they couldn't bury. Those are the things that jump out at me. If they had scored 3 goals and lost 4-3, excuse me, I think we'd be talking a little bit different about the Bruins offense and what the line combinations meant. But, you have to keep that fourth line together. They've been so impactful. Even if they're not on the scoreboard, they change momentum of the game. You can trust them. They're out there to start a period. They're out there to reestablish an offensive zone, forecheck, and they do their job. And I love the way they compete and how simple they play. Now you just got to get the other guys to play with that same kind of mentality with their own different set of skills. You don't have to all play like the fourth line, but you have to have that determination, that intensity, and that simplicity of the way you play within the system with the guys you're playing with to be far more effective than you've been. So I understand why they needed a change. I mean, you score 1 goal in 3+ periods in Salt Lake, and it didn't look great. Yeah, we got to find a way to get certain guys to get going and be more productive and impact the game in ways that they can impact the game that we're not seeing right now. And that's the challenge for the coaching staff. Not only are you trying to assimilate new players, centermen that are not familiar with the Bruins system. I keep talking about that. That's one of my themes. And until they figure that out, the way they play and the way they can dominate the defensive zone and turn defense into offense with quality exits out of the D zone, that's going to be the work in progress. That's where the work has to be done. And I'm telling you, Adam, from experience, the minute you get that part of your game going, everything else just kind of slides into place. All of a sudden now you're coming through the neutral zone with a little bit more pace, a little more speed. You get a little more entry into the offensive zone, even 5-on-5. Everybody gets involved. You find a guy coming late, whether it's the fourth player, which is a trailing defenseman who's going to get an opportunity because you came out of your own zone and he's gapped up nicely in terms of an offensive spacing. All that stuff kind of falls into place. But that's where it starts, back half of the ice.
Yeah, and there's just too much talent on the ice for the Bruins, right? I mean, you think it's going to have to come together at some point offensively, but the buzzword over the last week or so has been the process and improving the process and the habits and details and all those things that you hear the Bruins talk about because things have been inconsistent for them so far. And one of those big things is taking too many penalties, Brick.
Oh,
They've taken 39 minor penalties, which leads the NHL. Nikita Zadorov has taken a minor penalty in each of his first 7 games. And they're coming at inopportune times as well. And one example I'll point to is one that led to a goal, the first goal of the game for the Predators, where Max Jones, who is, again, fighting for ice time, fighting for playing time, right, commits 2 penalties in the first period. And the second penalty that he commits is in the Bruins offensive zone, and it leads to a power play goal for the Preds.
Yeah, and I don't envy the coaches that have to deal with this because it's so frustrating, and at times you don't understand it, and you need to be smarter. You need to avoid penalties when you're 200 feet from your own net and there's no danger, and there are certain penalties that you feel good about killing when somebody runs somebody through the boards in the offensive zone and it's a really good hit, but they deem it was a boarding penalty. You feel good about killing those penalties off, but not when you're getting interference or tripping or holding or whatever it might be, and it's a long way from your own net, and you're down a goal, and you start to find some momentum. You get a couple of scoring chances, and then you get one of those kinds of penalties. It's so it's so defeating to you emotionally and mentally, when those things happen. And then if you give up a power play goal on top of that, it really hurts. So, yeah, it's an area of concern, again, with this Bruins team, the far too many minor penalties at the wrong time in the wrong areas of the ice that can be cleaned up with better discipline. Discipline comes in so many different ways, whether it's something as simple as a line change or where you dump the puck in order to continue to make the line change. We've seen the Bruins get caught on some line changes already this year where the guys just not being smart enough with when to go off the ice, taking their eye off where the puck is, and it gets turned around. This game is so fast. Turnarounds are so fast. Quick ups are so fast. You got to make sure those line changes are done at the right time, and it doesn't have to be all 5 at once, obviously. So, yeah, that's another form of discipline that needs to be better with this team. But, yeah, the penalties are hurting them right now. I don't know how you handle it, Adam. Do you take away time, ice time? Do you not play guys? I don't know what that solution is. It's tough to legislate as a coaching staff how you handle when a team is taking too many penalties. There used to be a fine system back in the day. I don't even know if you're allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, no more double sessions and no more fine system when it comes to taking penalties.
No more kangaroo court, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, this PC world that we live in. I don't know what's good or what's not good. But I don't mean to make light of it because it's hurt the Bruins.
Sure.
It's hurt momentum in games, and that's been a problem. But the good news is these are all areas that can be fixed. I would like to see a guy like Charlie McAvoy take over certain parts of the game when the game's in the balance. I think he's that talented. He's that good. He has that much command of the game and on what he's doing. And I'd like to see it, sooner rather than later, because I know it's coming, and I would have liked to seen it on this trip because, like I said, I thought all 3 games were winnable. And I think he's been a little too quiet in terms of taking the game over. And that's a learned skill, and some guys never learn it despite how good they are. But I think Charlie's on the right track, and he has to get that into his game because he can be so dynamic and so and so good on the back end, and just kind of take over the game with high percentage plays, but plays that really hurt the opponent because you're making the right play at the right time and you're in the middle of it. And that's what he likes. He likes to be in the middle of everything that's important, everything that's critical, everything that, determines whether you win or lose. But again, he's just another guy in a collection of guys, for me, that just haven't been what I expect them to be at some point this year. I'd like it to be today. It hasn't been there. I hope I see more and more signs of all of these players that I'm talking about improve their game individually, which will help this Bruins team come together much more, consistently as a group of 20 players.